Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are enjoying all the videos that I am uploading. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Today's problem is number of islands. Given a 2D grid map of ones and zeros, where 1 is a land and 0 is water, count the number of islands. An island is surrounded by water and is formed by connecting adjacent lands horizontally or vertically. You may assume all 4 edges of the grid are all surrounded by water. So basically we are given with a 2D grid, 2D matrix we can say of 1 and 0, right? And in that we have to essentially count the number of islands. Island is defined as the one which is surrounded by water, that is 0. So we need to find the group of ones or single one, whatever it may be, a group of ones or single one which are surrounded by zeros, right? So the connections are going through either horizontal or vertical. So there are only two types, right? So horizontal is left or right and vertical is up or down, right? So if you have anything connected, then it will not be called as islands because there is some connection, right? So if it is not connected through any of the 4 directions, then you can say it as island. For example, in here, right? So in the example 1 I am referring actually. So here these 4 ones are connected, right? So because they are next to each other, and in the line 2 these 2 ones are connected, and also this line is this one in the same line, this one is also connected because this is right next to this one, right? Similarly the ones in the line 3 are also connected, right? So that means the ones that you see, all of them are essentially connected through either horizontally or vertically. So in that case what we say is all these form a single island. So the output is 1 here. So let's go ahead and look at the second example. That makes things little bit more clear, right? So here 1 1 in the first line and 1 1 in the second line, those two are connected with vertically, right? So this one is connected, first one is connected with this vertically, and this first one is connected to the second one horizontally. So these two are connected and these two are connected. Essentially those 4 ones are connected, and there is a 1 in this line. So as per the definition we have to check left and right. So left and right, they are zeros. So that means there is no connection. And up or down, 1, so here is 0 and here it is 0. So that means there are no connections to this one. So that means it forms another island. So one island group is 1 1, these 4 ones, another island group is this one, right? And let's go ahead, this one 1 1, right? So this, for this 1 1 also it is isolated. That means there are no connections to the horizontal or vertical. So that means the number of islands in this particular grid are 3. So we are going to follow exactly the same logic that we did for the example 2. Basically that's a clear example than example 1, right? So we try to start with cell where that is 1 and try to reach out to all the nearby cells through either horizontal or vertical direction, right? So if you are able to reach from the given location to another location, right, that means those are connected, right? As long as the connecteds are 1, right, we are going to count all of them in a single island. Okay, so this is I'm calling this as a depth first search. Basically you are going to go to one cell and reaching out to the nearby cell with the 4 directions, right? So horizontal is, there are 2 paths possible, go to the right or go to the left, and vertical, go to up or go to down. So those are 4 directions that are possible for the movement. So we will be using an auxiliary array to designate whether we have visited a particular cell or not. So if we have visited a particular cell, what we are going to say is, okay, we have visited, we are going to mark that cell as visited. That means we have visited through some means. That means it's already counted in one of the islands. So we don't have to actually go visit that again, because we already visited, it's already counted as one of the islands, right? So the task is, we will start with a place where the cell is 1, because if it is 0, we don't have to really go check for the island at all, right? Because 0 is water anyway. So we are only interested in the island, right? That means we are only interested in the collection of ones or a single one, right? Just like we did in the example 2, the line 3, right? Line 3 and the character also 3, right? So that's the one. So let's go ahead and apply that logic in our code. So the thing that I am going to use are, so visited is an array. It's equal to the dimensions of the grid that we are given with, right? So I am initializing this visited grid with the dimensions equal to the grid, right? So m is the number of rows and n is the number of columns. So that's what I am initializing, and each cell in the visited is also initialized to false to start with. So as long as and when we visit each cell, we are going to turn that false to true. Okay, and then so our ultimate goal is to count the number of islands, right? So I am initializing the count variable to 0. So now my task is, I will start at the cell 0 0, I is equal to 0 and j is equal to 0. So that means left and topmost cell that I am going to start, and do a depth first search. So that's what I am going to see. So if this depth first search returns me anything, right? So if this depth first search returns me as true, then that means I have counted, that means I have encountered a island. In that case, I am going to increment the count of islands. Finally, I will return the count of islands anyway. So now let's go ahead and look at this DFS function, right? So DFS function is pretty simple. So this takes a grid and a visited boolean array, and it is going to take the cell I and j. So this m and n are the dimensions of the grid, which are same as dimensions of the visited also, m and n, right? And the count is just a variable that I am passing. This is not actually used anywhere in here, right? But you can ignore for now. Okay, if I is greater than or equal to 0 and I is less than m, and j is greater than or equal to 0 and j is less than n. So basically these checks I am making sure is whatever the indexes that are passed I and j are within the range of the grid. Otherwise we are not going to do anything, right? So initialize the count used to false, and then we are only interested if that cell is not visited. So we are making 3 checks here. All this is one check. Basically it should be within the size of the grid, and that cell should not be visited, and the corresponding cell in the grid should be 1. If it is 0, we don't have to look at it, right? Because it is not a island anymore, right? So it should not be visited and it should be a land. In that case, we are going to go proceed, right? And then mark that node or that cell as true, so that we are going to say that is already visited. When it encounters the same cell again, right, it doesn't need to visit again. So we are marking the count used to true here. And then what we are going to do is, we are going to start from one cell and go to the adjacent cells. So adjacent cells are 4 different directions, right? So this will go to the left, and this will go to the right, this will go up, this will go down, right? So these are the 4 directions it is going to go, and see if there are any more ones that it can accumulate and put it into single island. So that is what it is going to do. So as long as it encounters ones, right, as long as it encounters 1, it is going to calculate as same island. So finally it is going to return the count whether it is used or not. So if it returns true, it is going to increment the count variable. So finally we are going to return the number of islands occurred, right, in this particular grid. So let's go ahead and look at the time complexity for this algorithm, right? So time complexity for this algorithm is, here we are initializing the visited array, right, boolean. So that will be equal to the size of the number of rows and number of columns. Since we are saying number of rows is m and number of rows is n, right? So this two for loops will take order of m into n. So that is the complexity for this. So again, so for that also order of m into n. So here for the second set of for loops, here we are going through 0 to m and 0 to n, right? So here typically we will say order of m into n, but we are calling this DFS, right? This is a function that we are going to call for each cell, but are we going to do any more processing for each cell except doing the visited and recursively call the DFS itself for the adjacent cells, right? But what we are making sure is, we are making sure each cell is visited at most once, because once the cell is visited, we are not going to visit anymore, right? So we can say on the whole, this algorithm, whatever this step is doing, right, in these two for loops, is each cell is getting visited only once. Even though we are calling for DFS for so many number of times, this DFS is not doing anything more than just going here and coming out if it is already visited, right? If it is already visited, it doesn't go do anything, it just comes out. So we can say the overall time complexity of this is order of m into n, because each cell is visited only once, right? So the overall time complexity for this algorithm is order of m into n. Let's go ahead and look at space complexity. So space complexity, I am using a boolean array here, right, for visited. So this will be equal to order of m into n. So apart from that, I am not using much. It's only like this count variable I am using, so it is a constant anyway, and I am using this count used boolean variable. So this is also a constant. So overall, what we can say is the space complexity for this algorithm is order of mn as well. So both time complexity and space complexity are same in this case. So order of m into n, right? So hope that cleared all the questions. If you still have any questions, please leave in the comment section below. Once again, I want to remind you, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe and click the bell icon. So if you click the bell icon, you will get the notifications about all my future videos when I upload them. Thank you for watching. I'll be back with another video very soon. Till then, goodbye.